hey, these are the same data entered into SPSS. And one of the downsides of an online class, although I quite enjoy teaching it, is that we don't get to meet in person and conduct SPSS sessions. And another thing I have to tell you this is some inside baseball, but Stephen F. Austin is removing the stats labs effective in the fall. So you guys are the second to last group ever to have a stats lab. The summer group will be the very last. It's just an odd thing. It was put to a vote, and there are particular reasons why it happened. But one of the things that we lose is our ability to relay what a wonderful and powerful thing SPSS is. But if you'll indulge me, I want to show you that I can just enter these numbers. So these are the data points that appeared before. And of course, where the heck are they? Here they are. The same data points here, and I've just entered them into the spreadsheet. And what I want to do, if you'll indulge me, is just go through and get the descriptive statistics. So analyze descriptives, and I want to look at these sessions, and let's just see what it gives me in terms of the output. So sure enough, there's that standard deviation, and there's the mean, which is kind of nice. That I like that it spits that out right away. And then additionally, I could go ahead and do the one sample t-test. So I'll say, well, analyze, compare means, and it's a one sample t-test. It's a fairly straightforward menu. And I'll click on that, and it brings this up. And then let me knock that back over and bring it in again. And I don't know what options. Oh, here it is. I need to compare against a population value of 2. So I'll be happy to do that. You always have to put your mu value in there of 2. And then basically I'm just ready to go. It'll spit it out right away. And you can see, let me get rid of this first output here. It has 10 cases. And by the way, one thing that SPSS doesn't do is it doesn't honor APA style. So normally that would be a lowercase n, but they just don't care about that. Our mean is 5. Our standard deviation is 2.82. And here's that standard error. And what is that? Well, that's the handheld calculation that we got before. So I did all that by hand and got 0.89, and sure enough, it shows that. And it'll also tell me the obtained value of t once I go back to it. So here it is. There's that standard error, which is just 2.82 over radical 10. And there's the obtained value of 10 based on that calculation. Now, our value was 3.36. And in fact, let me double check that. It was 3.36, and we got 3.35. There's just some rounding there, but that can't be avoided. There's our degrees of freedom of 9, and it's showing, sure enough, statistical significance. You might remember that we're looking for a p that's less than 0.50. Sure enough, this is 0.004, so that's a lot less. We got statistical significance by a large margin, so appreciate that. Another thing that it produces is a point estimate for Cohen's d. Our problem revealed in this very basic calculation 1.06, and sure enough, that's what that yielded, the spreadsheet did. So I really appreciate how much SPSS mirrors perfectly what we do with Chapter 9 sorts of problems, because it always assumes that our number of scores is a sample. It never acknowledges that it might be a population. We always call it a sample. So I've sure enough gotten the same output that we did by doing it by hand. The last thing I'll draw your attention to is this confidence interval. You'll remember that the upper and lower bounds, 5.02 to 0.98 here. So it's plus or minus a certain score. And so here's our confidence interval of 5 plus or minus 2.02. They have a way of expressing it that's a little different on SPSS, but yields essentially the same result as we go over to SPSS. The upper bound is that plus 2.02, and then we're subtracting that away from 3, but it basically yields the same thing. but it produces the same result also. So we can get a pretty firm idea of what the range is with respect to that confidence interval. So my point in showing you this is that the manner in which we go about doing things in SPSS is precisely the same as it is in doing it by hand, and it assumes that we're working with a sample when we do these problems. So, I'm a fan. There is a competitive product to SPSS called R, and to tell you the truth, I don't know anything about R. I've never used it, but it would just be very hard for me to switch, especially at my age, when it's so easy to use. The menus are really easy. The output is very interpretable, and it follows everything to a T of what you do by hand. So it may be the case that R does other stuff, but I'm just so disinclined to even try it. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope you've gotten something out of these 3 clips. I want it to be very direct.